Hi, I'm Shara Turner, Clinical Director here at Sabino Recovery, licensed professional counselor. I have been here at Sabino going on my 6th year in this role. I absolutely love the work that we do at Sabino, mainly because the focus is not ever on what is wrong with the individual. It's always about what happened to that person. One of my personal favorite modalities that we use here at Sabino is psychodrama. And people get really scared when they hear the word psychodrama, like they're going to have to act. It's really not that. Psychodrama, again, is a very experiential modality. It takes our experiences that we want, if someone wants to work through an experience, or maybe they're having issues talking to their mom or dad or someone they care about, and you're able to externalize the problem that you're having by utilizing resources in your environment. And again, psychodrama is almost always done in a group because you want to utilize the resources. Your resources are your peers. So let's say somebody wants to have a really difficult conversation with their mom, and it's been wanting to have this for years, and they're not quite sure how to do it. So they will pick somebody in the room to represent their mom, and then they will pick a scene, a setting. They might create a fireplace, or they might pick some kind of prop to represent their dog in the corner, or a favorite couch that they have, or a stuffed animal that they have at home. But they will recreate this scene in a familiar place while someone actually is playing the role of their mom. And they will just have a conversation with their mom. And then what happens is they switch roles, and their peer will mirror back the words that they were saying to their parent, their mom. And when you do that, you start to understand the impact of your own words on yourself and on other people. Then they'll flip back, they'll have the same conversation. Maybe they have other resources in the room. Sometimes people will play their shame, sometimes people will play their guilt, sometimes people will play, another part of them. And when they hear the words coming out of that part of them, again, they understand the impact that person or that narrative is having on their own psyche and their own energy. There's a lot of different activities that I've been involved in psychodrama. Sometimes someone will say, what are you dealing with? Well, I'm having trouble letting go. Well, what can't you let go of? Well, I can't let go of my guilt. Boom, you put a pillow on them. Well, I can't let go of my shame. Boom, you put a pillow on them. Well, I can't let go what I did to my boyfriend 2 years ago. Boom, you put a pillow on them. And all these things they're having trouble letting go of, you watch them as it piles on, and they're holding this, and how difficult it is for them to hold on to this. And so again, you're externalizing an experience you're having inside your head, inside your body, and it makes it much easier to deal with when you externalize it. So that really is kind of the premise of psychodrama. Again, because it's very experiential, there's no one way to do it. There's no right or wrong. There's lots of different amazing activities that we use. I would say the residents here at Sabino, it's one of the modalities that I hear the most about as far as efficacy and like, oh my God, that was so enlightening. I learned so much. That was such a great experience, because it goes pretty deep, but you also have the support of the people around you to kind of take you there. So it's really powerful. There's always a risk involved in everything we do, right? When you're doing this trauma work and people have been holding on to this stuff for years and years and years, or stuffing down their feelings, and you start to bring this stuff to the surface, there's always going to be a risk in that. And that's why we put a lot of safeguards in place in what we do. We have lots of staff, and the staff to resident ratio is really high, lots of support. We have a therapist on site 7 days a week if someone's struggling. When you come into a facility like this and you start to do trauma work, things are going to get worse before they get better, because these are things you haven't dealt with for a long time. Psychodrama specifically can harbor some risks in that you feel very exposed and very vulnerable in front of your peer group, and you're opening up stuff. The thing to remember, though, is we don't force anybody to do anything. Everybody has a choice. So we will ask people within that psychodrama setting, right? Because you maybe have 10, 15 people in there, who wants to do some work today? And maybe you have 3 or 4 people raise their hand, and then those 3 or 4 people will get into the center of the circle, and each of them will say what they want to work on. And then the peers will come up. Sometimes it depends on what you're doing that day, but the peers will come up and they will decide who they feel could really benefit from doing the work, or what would really benefit them the most from watching the work get done. And that's how we call it the protagonist is chosen in a psychodrama. And there's lots of other ways they choose it, but that's just one way. But that person was completely open and willing to do that work. If at which time you get to that moment, it's like, okay, we're going to do work with you today. And they go, oh, no, actually, I can't do this anymore. That's fine. Let's go back to the drawing board. Because again, no one is ever forced to do anything. Psychodrama is not like EMDR, somatic, some of the other trauma modalities, in that you ascribe a certain number of sessions to start seeing benefit. I've seen people get benefits or see benefits from psychodrama pretty immediately because the work is so intense. And psychodrama is meant to go to a specific issue that you're having, not like a big, broad subject, but a specific thing. But I have had residents come out of that and just be overwhelmed with relief from something that's kind of been heavy on them or haunting them for a long time. I've also had residents walk out of psychodrama in a very dysregulated state because it was triggering for them. And then what you're going to do there, it's not like you're going to jump back into psychodrama and fix that. You're going to take that information into your primary therapy session with your therapist. Or you're going to take that information into your EMDR session or into your somatic experiencing session, because they all honestly work together in a very holistic, collaborative way to start to rewire your brain, to start instill new healthy ways of interacting and responding to environmental triggers. So there's not just one way to do this. And if you get dysregulated in this session, there's other sessions and other places and other modalities that you can take that and re-regulate or reprocess that or continue to process whatever came up in that subsequent session. How do you prepare for a psychodrama? I think the biggest thing that I would ask anyone walking into a psychodrama is just have an open mind and don't put unneeded pressure on yourself. This isn't about performing. This isn't about acting. It's not about showing up a certain way. This is about your own growth and learning. So if you're going to go participate in a psychodrama and it's your first time, don't have high expectations for yourself. Don't expect yourself to like jump in there and be the protagonist and be out in front of everyone and feel like if you didn't, somehow you failed that session or you didn't get everything out of it that you could, because that's the farthest thing from the truth. Again, I will always reiterate, there is so much growth in the observation. There's so much learning in the watching and seeing other people's experience. If you've done a couple psychodramas and you kind of know what to expect, and at that point, if you're still reluctant to put yourself out there or ask for some work to be done for you, then I would start to get really curious about that. Why are you reluctant to share? Why are you reluctant to step out there and be vulnerable? And how does that correlate with the issues that you're dealing with, that the reasons that you came to treatment in the first place? And that's not from a space of judgment. That is from a true space of curiosity. And then if you're still kind of having a hard time putting yourself out there, maybe there's somebody that can hold you accountable. Hey, when I go into the psychodrama today, will you hold me accountable and ask me or push me a little bit to volunteer? Because that's a way, sometimes we're embarrassed. We don't want to, have the spotlight on us, or we don't want to think our problems are more important than anybody else's. So we kind of sit back, even though we really want to try it. And it helps to have a trusted friend go, hey, you deserve to do this work. Because most of us have a voice in our head that we do not deserve to do the work. You deserve to do the work when you're ready. And when you're ready and you put yourself out there, I can almost guarantee people are going to have, it may not be a good experience, but it will be a productive and a worthwhile experience, which is equally as important.